Hey guys, it's Alexander the Greg fishing again, and today I wanted to talk to you about why you lose fish on the hook set with flipping hooks. Uh, I've got a small description here of the 4 different types of flipping hooks that most people use. So what we have here are the 4 most basic types of flipping hooks from left to right. Left is a straight shank flipping hook. The next one over from the left is a round bend offset hook. The third would be an EWG, extra wide gap offset hook. And the last one on the far right would be a skip gap hook. So now that we understand the 4 general types of flipping hooks that most people would use, why do people tend to lose fish, especially on the hook set, when they're flipping or pitching a soft plastic bait? Well, the biggest problem that I see, and I think the most common reason that people lose fish on the hook set is hook roll. That's where the fish doesn't get the hook very deep, maybe towards the edge of his mouth. He bites down on it and flattens the hook out. And then when you set the hook, it comes out sideways and either just skin hooks him a little bit or it doesn't get him at all. That's probably the most common reason. So the bigger the hook, the more chance there's going to be of hook roll, because there's obviously more hook and shank sticking up for him to bite down on and flatten the hook out. Okay, I don't know if you ever watched Lake Zona, and when he sets the hook on a smallmouth, because smallmouth tend to bite really hard a lot of times or hold on very tightly, he'll start setting the hook, kind of shaking it like that, and then lean into it and get them. And that just kind of allows the hook to penetrate without getting flattened or pulled out sideways. So that would be the number one reason. I tend to think that the straight shank hook rolls easier than the offset shank hook. And from my experience, if you hook a fish with a straight shank Trokar TK130 and you hook him, he's hooked. I mean, he's hooked. But I lose a lot of fish on a hook set with a TK130 or a straight shank type hook because I think it rolls. And I really believe that the offset portion of the hook, that top offset portion of the hook, this right here, holds the bait straight in the plastic more so than just the straight shank. The straight shank can basically just roll like that, even though the hook's holding in the back, but it's doing it on. But I really think it keeps the hook from rolling as much with an offset shank hook. I prefer the offset shank hook. 35 years of fishing tournaments, and I lose way more fish personally on the straight shank hook. But if you have great luck with it, then keep doing what works for you. So the second reason people lose so many fish on the hook set would be the hook tends to straighten. You got a light gauge hook here. You set the hook extremely hard. It hits the fish on the back of the lip. I don't know if you can see that or not. And that hook tends to open up. When it does, it comes up like that, and it comes out of the fish's mouth. The third reason people lose so many fish on the hook set is they set the hook way too hard, or they snap set the hook. I don't see anything good in today's day and time where pretty much every decent hook that you buy is a chemically sharpened hook, super sharp. It's going to penetrate the skin. So setting the hook hard, extremely hard. It's not like back in the old days when I first started fishing. You actually had to keep a file in the boat or a little stone or something to sharpen your hooks because they just weren't sharp. I mean, they just weren't sharp. They wouldn't even scratch the back of your fingernail, a lot of the hooks back in the day. But today, the hooks are good. I mean, the points are good, the hooks are good, they're all good, you know, decent hooks. So you don't have to set the hook hard. When you set the hook hard, it does several things. It tears a hole in the mouth, a big hole in the mouth. And that's obviously if the fish turns the wrong way, the barb's not going to hold in a big hole in your mouth. It tends to, if you're fishing with a bigger weight or a more obtuse shaped bullet weight instead of a pointed bullet weight, and you set the hook hard, it tends to blow the fish's mouth open. And then the hook comes out. Another thing that happens when you set real hard is it tends to slap the hook because the weight and the hook end are in the mouth, and you pull on it, tends to slap the hook against the roof of the mouth. And that's okay, it gets the hook up there, but what it does, it tends to slap, and when it slaps it against the roof of the mouth, the roof of the fish's mouth, it tends to fall over on its side, right? So if you take that hook and you hit it real hard, this round point here is going to bang the top of the mouth and roll like that. So if you set too hard, you tend to get more roll. Another reason people tend to lose fish on the hook set, and it's probably not a lot you can do about this most of the time, is the fish bit the bait in such a way that when you set the hook, the lure or the plastic balls up down on the round part of the hook and can't get the hook into the fish's mouth. Some things you can do about that, like with tubes or creature baits, is to side hook or skin hook the hook on the side of the bait instead of right down through the middle of the bait if you have trouble with that if it's a big bulky bait. Another reason people tend to lose fish on the hook set is the rod doesn't have enough backbone, or the line that they're using is not stout enough to get the hook into the fish. So that'd be equipment issues. So, well, before we do that, the last reason that people tend to lose fish on the hook set would be you're setting the hook with the fish. The fish is running to the left, you set with him. Instead of, if he's running to the left, you set against him. Setting with him, you'll lose way more fish if you set with the fish than if you set against the fish or perpendicular to the fish. So, what can you do to limit losing fish? Go through the hooks like I have. EWG hook, skip gap hook for skipping, holds the bait on there a little better. I believe if you don't set the hook real hard, you're going to catch more fish. What I do, if I get a bite, is I never just go wham. Never. I used to do that. Used to lose a lot of fish doing that. I reel down, I get quite a bit of tension on the fish. Then I lean hard into him and then use the rod, the power of the rod, with maximum pressure to keep the fish coming. These hooks today, it's going in his mouth. It's going in his mouth. I mean, you just don't need to set it hard. There's just too many bad things that can happen by setting the hook really hard. I watched some tournament video the other day of a guy, and he was laying into these fish and losing them. And I was thinking to myself, goodness, dude, if you had just backed off a little bit and leaned into that fish before you hit him like that, you probably would have caught those fish. So a pressure set, if you ever been fishing with a guy who's not super experienced or whatnot, and he gets a bite in the back of the boat, seems like he always catches the fish. And the reason he always catches the fish is because he doesn't set the hook hard. He gives the fish plenty of time to eat the bait, and it gets it in the boat. So the worst thing you can do is hit the fish really hard, really quick on the bite. Back off just a little bit, pressure set, lean into the fish, let the rod do its job, and you'll catch more fish. So I hope these tips help you. Again, if you like my tips, please hit the like button. If it's something you want to watch on a regular basis, please hit the subscribe button, and I'd appreciate if you'd share my videos also. I'll see you on the water, and have a blessed day.